Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome on in to 1TS Daily here at One True Sport. It's Friday, July 26, 2024. I'm Zack Heydorn from Brass Ring Media, your host. That is the Top Rope Nation podcast. Ryan Droste, your other host. Ryan, happy Friday, sir. It's been a fun week.
It has been a fun week. I feel like the show has kind of grown its presence this week.
Yep.
I'm seeing some of the usuals in the chat room already, which is good. I'm seeing Maddie here. Maddie was super entertaining yesterday. So welcome back, Matt, from down under in Australia. Everyone else who's joining us live, hit us in the chat room. Let us know you're here. But it's been a lot of fun. It's a lot easier to do these shows when we got the interaction, with the chat room. Makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah, way more fun. And thanks to everybody who's in there right now. Andrew popped in just now. Eddie says morning.
Mm-hmm.
Morning, sir. Man, we got a weekend's worth of stuff to cover, Ryan, today, and also some news tidbits and nuggets that I want to hit. We'll probably start with those, but it's another one of those weird weekends because there's no real big wrestling show this weekend. We had the Slammiversary last weekend, and we have SummerSlam next weekend. So this is the calm before the storm, if you will. So I'm excited for the opportunity just to take a step back, take a deep breath, and then get ready for SummerSlam go home week on Monday.
Yeah, we've been real heavy on the TV shows of late. So yeah, I just hit a bunch of topics today, maybe get to some super chat questions, things like that. This should be a pretty free flowing show. I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be fun. Let me just take care of a little bit of business here first, guys. This is 1TS Daily here on One True Sport. We're live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 11 Eastern, here talking the news of the day, the news of the week, previewing shows, taking your questions. We're here for about 30 to 40 minutes every morning to hang out with you guys, and it's been an absolute blast. You can help us out by interacting with the show, dropping those super chats in. Helps us directly, helps the show directly, helps One True Sport directly. So we appreciate that, and also helps drive the ship and gets us into the areas of conversation that you guys want to have. So super chats are open right now. Live chat's open as well. We'll be monitoring that as best we can. If you are interested in One True Sport membership, you can head over right now to onetruesport.com. We've got 3 different price points where you can become a One True Sport member, trying to make that as accessible to everybody who wants to get in. We've got some of the some really good conversations and shows with a great slate of hosts, but also some of the biggest wrestling legends in the business, like Rob Van Dam, Kurt Angle, Arn Anderson. So lots of access there. It's onetruesport.com is how you can do that. As for today, if you haven't subscribed to the One True Sport channel, do that. I mean, goodness, that's the best and easiest way to access the content. It's totally free to do so. If you're able, hit the notification button so you know when we're live. And also, as you're watching this right now, like the video. Helps us out greatly. We also, guys, we've got some merch. We've got 1TS Daily merch.
Look at that.
My God, look at those.
Beautiful.
Look at those beauties. Look at those beauties. Look at that shirt. Look at that hat. Oh my gosh. Pick up your merch. It would be really fun to see this out in the wild in about a month or two. So we got hats, there's shirts, there's different colors, all sorts of stuff. And honestly, the merch store, even outside of the 1TS Daily stuff, is really cool. A lot of cool One True Sport branded stuff, some Legends branded stuff. So check it out. That's at onetruesport.com as well. So Ryan, let's get into a bit of news first here, and then we'll also take a look at SmackDown tonight. But I wanted to start with a comment that CM Punk made to Denise Salcedo during a media interview at Comic-Con that she had with him as like a media scrum type thing. And this is what Punk said about Vince McMahon and his return to WWE. And the question was about McMahon being out of the picture and whether that was a factor in CM Punk like returning to WWE. And this was Punk's response, and I'll read it in full. And again, this is to Denise Salcedo at San Diego Comic-Con. Credit to SE Scoops for pulling this transcription together. So Punk says, no, because it was never a thing that I was yearning to do. There were a lot of things that had to happen for the pathway to kind of clear. The stars had to align. There had to be a full moon. A lot of dominoes fell in order for us to get here. There was never a, man, I'd really like to go back. Vince being out of the picture probably illuminated the way. That might have been one of the biggest things. And that's both ways for everybody who's going to sensationalize this as a headline. It wasn't me. It wasn't him. There's just a lot of history there. All of a sudden, one of us is removed from the equation, and I think it changed a lot of things. So that's Punk talking about his return to WWE and how Vince McMahon may have impacted this. We talked yesterday, Punk trying to renegotiate his contracts and get a longer deal, a longer, more concrete spot with WWE long term. Ryan, what do you make of this? I mean, Punk's Punk, but this does sound like reasonable to me, like in terms of like an explanation of, hey, some things had to go right for this to happen, and Vince not being there with all the history that the two of them have. I mean, I think it's reasonable to think that did impact the ability for this relationship to reignite again. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. One thing about that quote, though, is Vince was still around when he came back. He wasn't involved in creative, but he was, executive chairman. He had a high-ranking office in TKO. I remember the reports out there that Punk and Vince had crossed paths. Was it in the gym or something at Stanford,
Yes.
something like that? So he actually was around. He wasn't totally out of the picture. He just supposedly wasn't involved in creative. Although if you listen to people, he still was involved in creative because he had that liaison known as Bruce Pritchard backstage relaying stuff to him. So, I mean, he wasn't there like in the day-to-day at the wrestling shows. So yeah, I am sure that played a role. Now, it's not like Punk and Hunter have had a warm relationship though. But I know the locker room looks at Hunter as a much better leader of creative than Vince. So I'm sure all of that played a factor. I mean, but let's not forget the whole reason he was interested in going back to WWE is because of what happened with his exit in AEW as well.
Yeah, well, right. And
he had nowhere else to go.
Punk being Punk. He's definitely spinning a narrative here for sure. And it's great. I totally forgot. Yes, they did cross paths at like the gym or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Punk saying one time, like I think it was in the Colt Cabana interview, saying like, "Hey, it's awkward." I'm totally paraphrasing here. Like I'm not quoting at all. It's just the gist of what the quote was, and you guys can go back and find it. It's on the Colt Cabana podcast, the infamous one, where he basically says like it's awkward at that time to kind of take this like carny wrestling business and drop it into like a corporate, environment led by Vince McMahon, who comes from like the carny wrestling business. And I think it's worth noting that it kind of seems now that like you've got Nick Khan, who's like straight up business guy, kind of running the show, that I don't know. I think it likely is easier and I'm just surmising here as a discussion point with you, Ryan. Like I'd surmise that it is easier to kind of have a business conversation, with Nick Khan than it was with Vince McMahon. Just because Vince McMahon is a businessman, yes, but like he's old school wrestling promoter first. Like
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he was this business guy who, all right, I'm going to decide to like, get into wrestling now. Like he was a pro wrestling promoter that became this incredibly rich billionaire because of how successfully he booked his wrestling promotion. So those two leaders at the top are very different in that regard. And so I don't doubt that it's easier for Punk to have like a business, or anybody for that matter, Drew and Seth and Roman and whoever, to have like that kind of like straight up business conversation with no baggage with Nick Khan than it would have been with Vince had Punk, wanted to come back.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think what you're getting at is with Vince, it was feelings would get in the way sometimes with those contract negotiations, for better or worse. Whereas Nick
Yeah.
Khan is just straight up business. He's going to look at the numbers. Will you help our bottom line? And that's it. Whereas, Vince might hold some grudges here and there, but I mean, if he thought you could do business for him, he would bring you back. But maybe he wouldn't give you as good of a deal. Like Nick Khan he is straight up the businessman. That's separate from creative. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think people, if they're looking for a raise or something in the past, if they go to Vince, they're gonna worry how that's gonna impact their creative versus you go to
Yes.
Nick Khan and that's not as much of an issue. He's just on the business side. He's not booking the shows. He's not a wrestling guy. So that's not going to influence what's happening to you on the shows as much as when Vince was there. Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that CM Punk's back, he's cleared. Who knows how long that will last? Do you, do you think he's? And we've got a quick live chat on this, and I'll drop Andrew in here to get us going here. Andrew says here he's done nothing. He being CM Punk since his return to wrestling to warrant a longer contract or bigger place inside the company. It won't matter anyway. He'll be hurt at SummerSlam. I don't know about that, Andrew, but it leads to my question, which is, has WWE gotten enough out of Punk to this point? Just because he's back in the fold, yes, he hasn't wrestled, but he's been on TV. I think him being back, I think gives a positive perception of Triple H, as the booker of head of creative, who had issues with Punk, who's okay bringing him back into the fold and working with them. So, do you think there's value in Punk, being in WWE, even if he doesn't wrestle another match again for that purpose?
I mean, I've always thought that as a mentor, he would be one of the best in the business. He's got a super strong mind for the business, and we know that that's what he wants to transition to with NXT. As we talked about yesterday in these contract talks, is that he wants to become a lifer as a coach, and he wants to eventually run NXT. I don't know what Shawn Michaels thinks about that.
Yeah, right.
But Punk has kind of made that known. So I think he's add value. I mean, if you look at his appearances, whenever he comes back for Raw, the rating usually peaks when he's on the show. So I mean, he's been a draw for him. He's sold a ton of merch.
Yeah.
Certainly, your neck of the woods there in Chicago, when he's been on the shows a couple of these times for TV, they've opened up the Allstate Arena to even more tickets, and they sold completely in the round behind the entranceway. Just because Punk was on the show. And that's how that's how ticket sales there as well. I think ticket sales across the board are very good. It's not just Punk, but I think it helps when he's on the shows. So I think given his injury history, we know that in the last a little over 2 years, he's had 3 serious injuries now. And to Andrew's point, it is a big concern that this guy can stay healthy long term. I mean, I see all the fantasy booking about Hell in a Cell and all of this, and it's man, you going to stay healthy through a Hell in a Cell match? Because you would like to get some more matches out of this guy. They've got these kind of dream matches that they've lined up for him.
Yeah.
And as we talked about yesterday, there's this whole dynamic of Rollins and the guest referee at SummerSlam and how that could lead into 2 different programs, maybe a triple threat match down the line, maybe a triple threat Hell in a Cell. You got to have him healthy for this stuff eventually, because you got to have the big money matches. So, I mean, we haven't seen it in the ring. Hopefully we do. But even so, with him being injured, he's done TV a lot. He's done talking segments. He's came out there with the announce crew. So he's been trying to, give them their money's worth. I think another aspect of this too is that, WWE has the ability to freeze contracts when people are injured. And I don't think that would be the case with him, because he's still been doing TV, even though he hasn't been wrestling. So he's still been traveling for the company. He's doing press conferences. He's doing the Fanatics thing in New York. So I think he's a big star. I mean, you look at the last 10 to 15 years in pro wrestling and who the biggest breakthrough mainstream pro wrestling stars are. I mean, obviously Cena's at the top. And then you're looking at Roman, of course, Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson. But certainly during the Daniel Bryan run, the yes chants were all over sports, not just in WWE. Like baseball teams were doing it and stuff. He was a breakthrough star also because of Total Divas and his impact on that show. People just know him. Punk. I mean, those are, to me, those are like the top 4 breakthrough wrestling stars of the last 10 to 15 years. Cena, Roman, Punk, Bryan, probably.
And
And
maybe
so, I
Cody
mean,
now.
just, and Cody now. Although, yeah, honestly, I don't think Cody is at the Punk Bryan level, to be honest with you. Like
Really?
outside of wrestling, I don't think he's to that
Yeah.
point yet.
Yeah.
Because Bryan had like the reality TV stuff. He was breaking through to all the women that watched those shows. I mean, is there anything that Bryan's done that you see in like Cody, that you see in mainstream sports? Because like the Yes Chants were there. There was just, I know
he
people
doesn't
talk
have, like,
about
that kind of he doesn't have like that kind of like thing, no.
yeah,
But I mean,
he's huge in wrestling, but I don't know about the breakthrough star aspect.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think he does. I mean, I don't think he doesn't have that signature. He certainly doesn't have a signature like Yes Chant thing. I mean, he's I don't know. He's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a knock on him, I guess, but he's kind of like a politician in that regard. Like he's on all the big, like he's on the late night shows, he's on the Today Show, but any top like Charlotte has been that person.
They've done
too.
that.
Like, I don't know that counts. So
Punk. I mean, he didn't necessarily have. I mean, he was doing all the shows and like Kids Choice Awards and all that stuff back in the day. I think the big thing for Punk was that he brought a lot of lapsed fans back to the product with that pipe bomb promo, and that put him over really big. I don't know that he so much had the breakthrough mainstream stuff outside of that. But look, people talk about like boom periods in wrestling, and I don't disagree. WWE is making a ton of money right now, and they are a hot live touring act right now. But just numbers wise, way more people were watching WWE when Punk and Bryan were on top over 10 years ago. Like the numbers were the Raw numbers, the SmackDown numbers. I know people consume TV differently now and everything, but like way more people were watching back then. It's just a fact. And I personally, I mean, this is a whole different conversation, but I don't see it as a boom period. Maybe we can parlay this into a different conversation. Just it is for money. Absolutely. But I don't really see the mainstream. I don't like go to the store and see wrestling shirts all over the place like I did back in the Attitude Era. I don't know about you. You live in a bigger city than me, but I don't hardly ever see wrestling shirts out and about. I teach school. I teach like junior high school age kids. They're never talking about pro wrestling, you guys. Like I never hear these kids talking about pro wrestling. I never see shirts at school. And I know that like when we were teenagers in that boom period, the shirts were all over at school. Everybody was talking about wrestling. And believe me, I listened for it. So like I just can't call it a boom period.
How you classify a boom period, I mean, is the essence of this discussion, because I mean I think like when you compare it to whatever, let's say 2015 to 2019 WWE, I would say it's a freaking boom period, because that 4-year period was like just a slog to get through. Like,
yes,
God dang, like it was just, and so I think you have like, just if you're watching the show, I think it's inherently obviously better than it, in terms of like interest, big stars, everybody's like aligned properly, you're getting big reactions, crowds are full. But I don't know that wrestling will ever have like a boom period as like you're describing it, like in terms of like shirts everywhere. So actually, it's so funny. I was walking down where the hell was I? Oh man, I forget where I was. Maybe I was at the airport or something, and somebody had like an Austin 316. Oh no, it was at the movie theater. Someone had an Austin 316 shirt on, and I was like, nice. But again, it's the old school Austin 316 shirt. Right. It's not Roman Reigns. It's not Cody Rhodes. It's not like, it's not MJF. Like, it's not any of even the top AEW guys. So
no.
I think that speaks to your point.
To me, it's the mainstream breakthrough. That's
Yeah.
to me, that's what I think of as boom period. I think
like-
about like, would my non-wrestling fan friends know who I'm talking about?
Right. But like,
And
here's
like,
the other thing though, that
yeah,
I'll just devil's advocate at you to like play the other side of that argument. I mean, yeah, you don't see like the shirts and I mean, clearly you know better than pretty much probably anybody as far as like what the high school, junior high audience is talking about. But at the same time that conversation is not happening there, I feel like mainstream like wrestling and WWE like is now more accepted by like the mainstream at like a higher level. College Game Day, they're all over that. They've got licensing deals with pretty much all like major like whatever lunch boxes, golf things, Fanatics. They're doing you know, Sunday takeovers of A&E. Like that type of like mainstream relationship with pro wrestling would not have existed like 15 years ago either. That is now developed now. It's a little bit more commonplace as far as that goes, perhaps. So
yeah,
more accepted. You know, I think that's you don't
yeah.
want to
I
overlook
think,
that part either. Although
yeah,
that's not something you can quantify as far as like fan interest in your product either. So
yeah. It's a complex discussion because there's so many factors at play. But I think another, you know, an aspect of that, and I agree, like the mainstream acceptance is there, no question. But then is some of that because it's been around in the national spotlight so long and it's just naturally adjusted? Is some of that because the producers in charge of those shows were teenagers
yeah.
in the last real boom period, in my opinion, and so now those people are in charge, and so they
Oh, I
have the
think that definitely
nostalgia,
plays
you
a
know.
part. Yeah.
So like, yeah, again, I'm not an idiot. I know they're doing huge business right now. It's just I quantify a real boom period as mainstream breakthrough. And we got to this question because again, like I just don't see that with Cody yet. He's one of the biggest stars in a period where they're doing big business, but I don't think he's really broken through, even in the way that Bryan Danielson did at his peak. And wrestling certainly wasn't in a boom period then either, but they were trying new stuff, appealing to new demographics with Total Divas and Total Bellas and everything. And then just the chant broke through. It absolutely did. I mean, people aren't going in their baseball press conferences, Zach, going, "What do you want to talk
What do
about?"
you want to talk?
I mean, it's
Although
like
maybe
what
should. Somebody
maybe
should.
people are going to start getting neck tattoos. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, hitting the news today, the London government issued a press release. The mayor of London met with Nick Khan and Paul Levesque yesterday with the intent of discussing bringing WrestleMania to England's capital city of London. The mayor said here, London has a great pedigree in hosting the biggest international sporting events from around the globe, and I'm determined to cement our city's reputation as the undisputed sports capital of the world as we work together for a better London for everyone, blah, 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 blah. more political mumbo jumbo. But basically, they're, you know, essentially serious about doing a WrestleMania in the UK. This is I think it's gonna be a polarizing topic potentially. What do you think, Ryan? What do you think about this? If I mean, obviously it's news because they're over there meeting with them, but it's also been talked about for a long time too, and is a long time coming in some ways. What do you think about this development of WrestleMania and therefore WrestleMania week heading to the UK potentially?
I've seen people talking on social media about the time difference and everything. I don't think that matters at all for England. I mean, you're talking about daytime wrestling for us, and I'm totally fine with that. I mean, back in the day, they used to do these pay-per-views during the day. So, I mean, that's totally fine with me. They had afternoon pay-per-views back in the day, and I've talked about it on Top Rope Nation. I've talked about it here with you. I love it when these pay-per-views are on earlier in the day rather than at night here. So if they want to run a show at 7 p.m. in London, I'm game for that. I don't think that really has any impact on it for me. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably. I think it'll be interesting to see what stadium they run. I know everyone just assumes Wembley, but that Tottenham stadium over there is pretty freaking nice too, and that's right there in London. So they could run the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
How many people does that fit? Do you know off the top of your head?
I'm not sure. I know they run a lot of the NFL games there. I know the Bears have
Oh,
played
that's
there a
right.
couple of times.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll look it up. But I mean, they're probably going to want to run Wembley because of AEW. Like, let's be honest, they want to top AEW's number there. I'm sure there's going to be some motivation there. Tottenham capacity is like 62.8, so it's not huge. And then you get people on the ground, of course, too. But Wembley's definitely bigger. I know that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. I mean, that's got like a 90,000.
I mean, I'm with you. Like from a personal standpoint, I'm like, do it, whatever. And also like from a business standpoint too. Like they've changed their model here, guys. Like people on social media talking. Like, I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but I think if you look at the events this year, more than a quarter of them have been international shows that have happened during the day. You had France, you had a Saudi show, you're going to have another Saudi show. You had Clash of the Castle, Berlin is coming up. So like it's totally normalized for WWE to do these shows during the day. And I think they can do that because they're not charging traditional like pay-per-view dollars where it's like, oh, well, we probably can't get as many people to buy at 1:00 on a Saturday afternoon. Well, now everybody's, they're running on Peacock, and so they don't care. That's not as big of an issue. So I think that's almost like a non-issue. The fact that it's during the day. I mean, it really is a non-issue. The part that I think is interesting is moving, like WrestleMania for WWE now is obviously it's the biggest pro wrestling event of the year, but it's also like pretty much like a business convention for WWE corporate too, that you now take, overseas to the UK. I think that more than anything is a consideration that you want to make for WWE. Like the WrestleMania week is way easier to do if you're in the United States and not on a different time zone by a wide margin in the UK. I think that's a consideration. And then also the fly-ins of fans, like, you're going the other direction. And I think that I just don't know how many people in the United States would go, oh, I gotta be at WrestleMania in the UK. I'm going to go. Whereas WrestleMania has been a thing that's happened in the United States that I think people from around the world plan to come here for. And so it's a bit of a flip as far as that goes. But here's the bottom line is this. If WWE gets offered enough money to do this there, they're going to do it there. And that's it. Like, so It doesn't really matter. Like, I think they're going if the check is thick enough. Right. I mean,
yeah. And I think anywhere in Europe would be fair game for WrestleMania. Where I would pause on like the time difference is I saw some people speculating, after Elimination Chamber that, they're gonna run Mania in Australia. And it's like, now that time difference is a problem.
That's 4 a.m. That's 4 a.m. here.
And also like the travel there is much more expensive. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll happen. Now, what's interesting is I don't know what you think, but would they announce a multi event deal like they did with Indianapolis? Because I was kind of thinking that they might be doing SummerSlam there next year initially, because it was very weird how they announced Minneapolis for like 2026, but they didn't announce anything for next year. And then there was rumors out there, that AEW might be considering a stadium event in Texas with their agreement with Arlington. And then my gears were turning, and I was like, does that mean they're not running Wembley next year? And they're moving all in? And is that because WWE is going to be running Wembley next summer? And like, I was trying to put all these things together, just speculating in my own mind. I mean, but maybe they'll announce SummerSlam first, then WrestleMania. Who knows? But I think, money talks. If they're offered the money, it's headed there for sure.
Could easily be. I mean, it could easily be that's where they go next year, because it's so bizarre that, hey, we're gonna go to Minneapolis 2 nights of SummerSlam 2 years from now. Like,
right. Oh,
What?
that was so strange.
So strange.
2026?
Like
Yeah.
the heck with who hosted in 2025. We're talking about 2026.
And they're still running ads for it. Like I saw it on a PLE recently.
Yeah.
The SummerSlam. And look, I'm excited about it. I'm going to go. It's not that far for me, but that's a ways away.
Yeah.
It's 2 years
Oh, ways.
away.
I'll be there too. I mean, yeah, it's a, I don't know, 5 hour, 4.5 hour drive for me, 5 hours. Like that's an easy trip, but
Yeah.
it is weird that like, 2025. We don't
Right?
care.
What's
We don't care
next
about
year? Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't care about that. Yeah, we'll see, guys. We'll see. All right, we'll wrap up a little bit of SmackDown talk here. Not a crazy newsworthy SmackDown tonight. They've got a lot of the show earmarked for a tag team gauntlet match for a shot at the WWE tag team titles. That is the lead for tonight. It's the Street Profits versus Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin. I mean, the tag team that everybody needs. Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin. I mean, boy, guys.
Ratings.
What the hell are we doing? Jesus. All right. Them against Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, Angel and Humberto, Pretty Deadly, and then Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. So there is your gauntlet match for the WWE Tag Team titles. Ryan, is there any way that Tonga Loa and Tonga don't win this?
I mean, looking at that lineup, I would be shocked. It's and I mean, even beyond that gauntlet, this is a dire SmackDown lineup. I'm sorry, but there is nothing on this show that I'm pining to watch.
No.
That LA Knight and Santos Escobar, the women's tag Bailey and Michin against Nia and Tiffany Stratton, and then that's all that's announced. I mean, people are gonna watch, but this is pretty low level
this is a
stuff.
taped show. So they taped this last week. In Omaha, because I believe the SmackDown crew is in Japan right now. Yes. I want to say.
Yep.
So it's taped. Doesn't make it any better, or what?
No.
You know, but
throw us a bone here. Jeez.
But like, yeah, this is pretty bad. This is a pretty bad lineup. I kind of like one of the. I think Triple H has done some pretty nice booking overall. The tag team, his approach to tag team booking has really been substandard. Like, how many like fatal 4-ways, battle royals, and gauntlet matches have we seen for tag team title opportunities in the last 6 months? It's like, all right, come on here, guys. Like, I didn't even know Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin were a team even. Like, what? I mean, this is really bad. I mean, if you're going to do this match, just announce that Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa are the number one contenders. Have them beat up DIY. All right, DIY is going to fire up. We want to take them on at SummerSlam. Okay, then you're there. Like, just be better than crappy gauntlet matches like this. And this is going to be like an hour. You know that, right?
Yeah. It's just kind of lazy booking. Last minute. All right, we need some challengers. Throw them all in there. Yeah.
Yes,
just
exactly.
You're not heating up anyone doing this at all.
No.
I mean, it's
yeah. LA Knight, Santos Escobar. I think we know what's going to happen there. And then women's champion Bailey and Michin against Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, all to kind of fuel that Nia Jax Bailey feud and rivalry for SummerSlam. So yeah, this SmackDown is a barren wasteland, man. I mean, I don't know if we get any follow up on the Cody stuff. Like, I'm really trying to figure out a way to like put something positive out there with this, but this is a bad show tonight, I think, guys.
Yeah. I mean, barren wasteland. You said it. Baron Corbin he's just leading the barren wasteland here. This is a Baron Corbin show tonight. Maybe
Barren Wasteland is the new tag team name of Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin. Just so you know. All right, guys, we'll wrap up there. Been a fun week. Been a really fun week. We'll have another busy one next week. We'll be talking a lot of SummerSlam, I'm sure. We'll be previewing SummerSlam. We'll do a preview show for that next Friday. We'll just kind of spend one TS Daily previewing SummerSlam. So don't miss that. Don't miss that. Once again, if you want to check out One True Sport membership, you can check it out at onetruesport.com. That's where all the stuff lives, our merch, the One True Sport merch store, and the membership options here at One True Sport Daily, where you can see and interact with and hang out with all sorts of wrestling legends, including RVD, Mr. Unrelenting Andre Walker, who's in the chat right now wondering where he is. Also, there's Medusa and Kurt Angle and Arn Anderson, lots of like big star legend access. You can check that out. We got 3 different membership tiers. Give it a go. Head over there now, onetruesport.com. I think you'll be really happy that you did. You can check out more of my stuff at Brass Ring Media. We did a long show yesterday about Blood and Guts and talked a little bit about like psychology of that finish. You can also check out yesterday's show that Ryan and I did, where we spent a lot of time talking about Blood and Guts as well. But Brass Ring Media on YouTube, check it out. Hopefully you guys go there and subscribe. Totally free to do so. We'll have some content drop today and some stuff over the weekend too. Ryan, I know you guys had a big show last night over at Top Rope Nation. What else is going on for you guys over there?
Yeah, check it out. Just dropped late last night. We had a live show. It's on YouTube. You can also find it on the podcast feeds. Just search Top Rope Nation. Covered a lot of topics. We do a show once a week, so we hit everything on that one show. So we talked a lot of AEW, talked Blood and Guts too, WWE. We did some fantasy booking on where this the situation with Punk and McIntyre and Rollins could go in the fall. We did some correlations between 1997 WWE and the pattern they seem to be following in that feud and how that could end up, being booked all the way through Bad Blood in October. So it was a pretty fun show. You can check it out. Again, if you like video, do the YouTube version, but if you like podcasts, it's wherever podcasts are found. And you can also chat with us. We have a Facebook group that's pretty interactive. A lot of posts going up every day. If you search Top Rope Nation Pro Wrestling Discussion on Facebook, you'll find that as well. So I'd love to have you listen and check out our show and what we're doing over there as well.
Do it, guys. You'll be happy that you did. I promise you that. Got a good team, good crew over there. Yeah, definitely check that out. Top Rope Nation on YouTube. Thanks to everybody who joined us in the chat. Andre and Andrew and Eddie and let's see who else was here with us.
Matt was here. I don't know. He might have
Addy, of course,
off, though. Yeah,
tearing it up as usual in the chat. Thank you guys. It's been a fun week. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch you here Monday morning, 11 Eastern, right here at 1TS Daily. See you later.
Good weekend, everybody.